Captain Sarah Chen stood frozen in the massive chamber, her pulse rifle trembling in her hands. The alien queen before her was nothing like the monsters they had been fighting for months. This creature was ancient, her scaled skin bearing scars from countless battles, her 6 eyes glowing with an intelligence that made Sarah's stomach twist with dread. The queen's voice echoed through the crystalline walls, deep and resonant with an authority that seemed to shake the very foundation of the underground complex. I am humanity's mother. What have you done? Sarah's mind raced. Mother? This couldn't be right. The Zephyrians had been humanity's greatest enemy, slaughtering entire colonies and reducing Earth's outer territories to ash and bone. How could this monster claim to be their mother? You're lying, Sarah managed to say, though her voice cracked with uncertainty. Behind her, the rest of Strike Team Alpha maintained their defensive positions, but she could feel their confusion radiating through the comm channels. The Queen's massive form shifted, her forearms moving with surprising grace as she gestured toward the walls around them. Sarah noticed for the first time that the chamber was filled with strange symbols, geometric patterns that seemed to pulse with their own inner light. The markings looked almost familiar, like something she had seen before but couldn't quite place. Look around you, child, the Queen said, her voice carrying a sadness that seemed impossibly deep. See the truth that your leaders have hidden from you. As Sarah's eyes adjusted to the chamber's ethereal glow, she began to make out more details. The walls weren't just decorated with random symbols. They were covered in what looked like star charts, biological diagrams, and most disturbing of all, images that appeared to show the evolution of various species. Her breath caught in her throat as she recognized one particular sequence of figures. The progression showed a primitive ape-like creature slowly, transforming through various stages, until it reached something unmistakably human. But these weren't Earth's evolutionary records. This was alien technology, alien knowledge, depicting humanity's development with an accuracy that should have been impossible. This is some kind of trick, Sergeant Williams whispered over the comm, but even he sounded uncertain. The Queen's attention turned to Williams and her expression softened slightly. Your sergeant speaks of tricks, yet he wears the genetic markers my people placed in his bloodline 3,000 Earth years ago. The enhanced reflexes that make him such an effective warrior. The resistance to radiation that allows your species to survive in the void between stars. These are gifts, not accidents of evolution. Sarah felt the world spinning around her. Everything they had been told about humanity's war with the Zephyrians suddenly seemed questionable. The official reports claimed that first contact had occurred only 2 years ago, when Zephyrian raiders attacked a mining station on Europa. But if what this creature was saying held any truth, the connection between the species went back millennia. If you're really our mother, Sarah said slowly, trying to keep her voice steady, then why are your people attacking us? Why are they destroying our colonies? The Queen's 6 eyes blazed brighter, and for a moment Sarah thought she saw something like grief flash across the alien's features. My people? Child, those are not my people. Those creatures you have been fighting, the ones your leaders call Zephyrians, they are abominations. They are the failed experiments of those who sought to corrupt what we created. The revelation hit Sarah like a physical blow. She had seen the enemy up close, fought them hand to hand in the corridors of burning space stations. They were savage, mindless creatures that seemed to exist only to destroy. But looking at the Queen now, Sarah could see the differences. Where the raiders were crude and bestial, this being radiated intelligence and purpose. The true Zephyrians died out long ago, the Queen continued, her voice heavy with ancient sorrow. We gave our lives to ensure that our children would survive and flourish among the stars. We seeded dozens of worlds, guided the evolution of countless species, and humanity was to be our greatest achievement. Dr. Martinez, the team's xenobiologist, stepped forward despite Sarah's warning gesture. His scientific curiosity had always gotten the better of his survival instincts. The genetic modifications, he said breathlessly. The enhanced immune systems, the ability to adapt to different gravity levels. We always wondered why humans were so uniquely suited for space travel compared to other Earth species. The Queen nodded slowly. Your Dr. Martinez speaks wisdom. Your people were designed for the stars, crafted to be explorers and guardians of the galaxy. But something went wrong. Something we did not foresee. Sarah's mind was reeling, but she forced herself to focus on the immediate threat. What went wrong? And what does it have to do with the creatures that are attacking us now? The Queen's expression darkened and the temperature in the chamber seemed to drop several degrees. There was another faction among my people, scientists who believed that creation should be absolute, that our children should serve rather than flourish. When the Council voted to allow humanity to develop freely, they rebelled. The alien moved to one of the walls, her massive hand tracing over a series of symbols that began to glow at her touch. Images appeared in the air above them, holographic projections showing vast laboratories and genetic manipulation facilities. They took our genetic templates and perverted them, creating creatures designed for war rather than exploration. The beings you call Zephyrians are their legacy, twisted copies of our original design, programmed with only one purpose: to find and destroy humanity before you could reach your full potential. Sarah felt sick. Everything they had believed about their enemy, about their war, had been built on lies. But one question burned in her mind above all others. "Where have you been?" she demanded. "If you're really our creators, our mothers, why did you abandon us? Why didn't you protect us from these things?" The Queen's 6 eyes closed slowly, and when she spoke again, her voice was barely above a whisper. "Because, my child, we have been sleeping, and now that we have awakened, I fear we may already be too late to save you." The holographic display shifted, showing massive structures buried deep within various planets across the galaxy. Sarah recognized some of the worlds from star charts, but others were completely unknown to human space. Each structure pulsed with the same ethereal light that filled the chamber around them. "These are the sanctuary vaults," the Queen explained, her voice gaining strength as she spoke. "When we realized that the corrupted had stolen our genetic templates, we knew that war was inevitable. Rather than see our greatest works destroyed, we chose to enter the Great Sleep, preserving ourselves and our knowledge until the time was right to awaken." Lieutenant Park, the team's communications officer, checked his equipment nervously. "Captain, I'm not getting any signal out. It's like something is blocking our transmissions." The Queen turned her attention to Park, and Sarah noticed that the alien's expression showed something that might have been amusement. "Your communications are not blocked, young one. They are being filtered. My awakening has triggered defensive protocols that have been dormant for 3 millennia. No signal leaves this facility without my approval." Sarah raised her weapon slightly, though she knew it would be useless against something this massive. "Are we prisoners here?" "You are protected here," the Queen corrected. "The moment your ship entered the system's gravitational field, the corrupted detected your presence. Even now, their fleet approaches. Without my intervention, you and your crew would be dead within the hour." Dr. Martinez was frantically scanning the walls with his portable analyzer, his excitement barely contained. "Captain, the energy readings here are off the charts. This technology is thousands of years ahead of anything we've developed. The power source alone could revolutionize human civilization. If human civilization survives what is coming," the Queen said grimly. "Tell me, child," she addressed Sarah directly, "how many worlds has humanity colonized? How many of your people live among the stars?" Sarah hesitated. Military protocol demanded that she not reveal strategic information, but something about the Queen's demeanor made deception seem pointless. 47 confirmed colonies with a total population of about 8 billion spread across the galaxy. Earth itself holds another 12 billion. The Queen's 6 eyes widened in what Sarah interpreted as surprise. "So few. In the projections we made before the sleep, we estimated that humanity would have populated at least 300 worlds by this time. The Zephyrian attacks have been devastating," Sergeant Williams explained. "They hit us just as we were beginning major expansion efforts. 17 colonies have been completely destroyed in the last 2 years. A sound emerged from the Queen that Sarah realized was alien laughter, though it held no humor. 2 years? Child, the corrupted have been hunting your species for over 50 years. The attacks you know about are merely the most recent phase of their campaign." Sarah felt her blood run cold. "That's impossible. First contact was documented in 2387 when they attacked Europa Station." "First official contact," the Queen corrected. "But tell me, how many deep space missions have simply vanished over the past 5 decades? How many exploration vessels have disappeared without trace or explanation?" The implications hit Sarah like a sledgehammer. She thought about all the lost ships, the missions that had simply stopped reporting back, the mysterious signals that had led rescue teams to find nothing but debris fields. The military had attributed most of these losses to equipment failure or natural hazards. But if the Queen was right, They've been picking us off systematically, she whispered. Precisely. The corrupted learned patience from their failures in the past. Rather than launch an immediate full-scale assault that might unite your species in desperate defense, they chose to weaken you gradually. Every lost colony ship, every disappeared exploration vessel, every mining operation that went silent, all part of a careful plan to limit human expansion while they prepared for the final phase. Lieutenant Park looked up from his communications console, his face pale. Captain, I've been analyzing the signal patterns in this facility. There are transmission logs here going back decades. The Queen's people have been monitoring human communications the entire time. The Queen nodded. We have watched and waited, hoping that humanity would prove strong enough to survive without our intervention. Your species has shown remarkable adaptability and courage, but the Corrupted's latest strategy threatens to break you entirely. What strategy? Sarah demanded. The Queen gestured, and the holographic display changed to show a three-dimensional map of known space. Human colonies appeared as blue dots, while red markers indicated Zephyrian attacks. As Sarah watched, the pattern became clear. The attacks weren't random. They were systematically cutting off human expansion routes and isolating core worlds. They are hurting you, the Queen explained. Each attack drives human expansion in predetermined directions, forcing your species into increasingly confined space. Soon all of humanity will be concentrated in a small region of the galaxy, easy to contain and eliminate. Dr. Martinez studied the projection with growing horror. The resource depletion models we've been working on, if we can't expand to new systems soon, human civilization will start collapsing from internal pressures within a generation. Exactly as the Corrupted intend, the Queen confirmed. They learned from their previous failures. Direct assault breeds heroes and unites enemies. Slow strangulation creates despair and internal conflict. Sarah felt a surge of anger that surprised her with its intensity. So you've just been watching? Letting your children be murdered while you slept? The Queen's massive form shifted, and Sarah sensed dangerous energy building in the chamber around them. Do not mistake caution for abandonment, young warrior. The awakening of even one sanctuary vault requires enormous energy and attracts the attention of the Corrupted across half the galaxy. If we had awakened too early, we would have led them directly to Earth itself. But you're awake now, Williams observed. What changed? The Queen's expression became grim. 3 days ago, the Corrupted achieved something we thought impossible. They successfully reverse-engineered our genetic templates. The holographic display shifted again, showing massive biological laboratories and production facilities. Sarah watched in horror as the images revealed thousands of creatures being grown in artificial wombs. But these weren't the savage raiders they had been fighting. These creatures were larger, more intelligent-looking, and most disturbing of all, they bore clear resemblances to human features. They are creating a new hybrid species, the Queen continued. Beings with human intelligence and adaptability, but programmed with corrupted loyalty and goals. If they succeed in perfecting this process, they will have created the perfect weapon against humanity. Soldiers who think like humans, but serve the enemy absolutely. Sarah stared at the images, her mind struggling to process what she was seeing. They're making human Zephyrian hybrids? Not just hybrids, the Queen corrected. Replacements. The Corrupted plan to eliminate humanity entirely and replace your species with their engineered servants. These new beings will inherit all of human civilization, but they will serve only the Corrupted's will. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Sarah realized that everything they had been fighting for, everything humanity had built among the stars, was about to be stolen by creatures wearing human faces. How long do we have? She asked quietly. The Queen's 6 eyes focused on her with an intensity that made Sarah's skin crawl. The first production facilities will be operational within days. Once they begin mass production, nothing will be able to stop them. Then we fight, Sarah said firmly. We warn Earth, mobilize the fleet, hit these facilities before they can complete their work. The Queen's laughter was like breaking crystal. With what, child? Your entire military fleet numbers fewer than 3,000 vessels. The Corrupted have spent 50 years building their forces while keeping humanity weak. They outnumber you 50 to 1. And their technology far surpasses anything your species has developed. Sarah felt despair creeping in, but she forced it back. Then what do you suggest? That we just surrender? The queen leaned forward, her massive form casting shadows across the chamber. I suggest, my daughter, that you learn what it truly means to be human. The queen moved with surprising grace for such a massive being, approaching a section of the chamber wall that Sarah hadn't noticed before. As the alien's 4 hands traced complex patterns across the surface, hidden panels slid open to reveal what appeared to be a vast library of crystalline storage devices. When we designed humanity, the queen began, her voice taking on an almost reverent tone, we did not simply enhance your physical capabilities. We embedded something much more profound into your genetic code, something that even the corrupted do not fully understand. Dr. Martinez adjusted his scanner, trying to get readings on the crystalline storage devices. Captain, these aren't just data storage units. They're quantum matrices, capable of holding information at the molecular level. The storage capacity would be virtually infinite. Indeed, the Queen acknowledged. These contain the complete genetic and psychological profiles of every species we have guided over the millennia. But humanity's profile is unique. Sarah watched as the Queen selected one particular crystal, larger and more complex than the others. When she placed it into what appeared to be a viewing device, the chamber filled with swirling holographic images showing humans in situations Sarah had never seen before. The images showed human colonists facing impossible odds, whole communities, working together to survive on worlds that should have been uninhabitable, small groups of explorers finding creative solutions to problems that had stumped alien civilizations for centuries, and most remarkably, humans forming bonds and alliances with alien species that had been considered hostile by everyone else. You see, child, what makes humanity special is not just your adaptability or your technology. It is your unique ability to transform enemies into allies, to find cooperation where others see only conflict. Lieutenant Park studied the holographic displays intently. These images, some of them show humans working with species I don't recognize. When were these taken? The Queen's expression grew sad. These are not records of the past, young one. These are projections of what should have been. Before the corrupted began their campaign against humanity, we had identified 17 different species that would have become your allies within the next century. Each of these civilizations possesses technology and knowledge that would have elevated human civilization beyond anything you can currently imagine. Sergeant Williams frowned. Should have been? What happened to them? The corrupted systematically destroyed or corrupted each of these civilizations before humanity could make contact with them, the Queen replied. They understood that humanity's greatest strength lies not in individual achievement, but in your species' unprecedented ability to build bridges between entirely different forms of life. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. You're saying they deliberately prevented us from making allies? More than that, they turned potential allies into enemies. The Regalian Empire that borders human space to the galactic north? They were once a peaceful trading civilization that would have welcomed humanity with open arms. The corrupted infected their leadership with a neural parasite that makes them view all new species as threats to be eliminated. The holographic display shifted to show a beautiful, crystalline city under a purple sky. As Sarah watched, the scene transformed, showing the same city in ruins. Its inhabitants transformed into aggressive, militaristic beings that she realized she had encountered in border skirmishes. The Altarian Collective, the Vegan Confederacy, the Centauri Alliance, all of them fell to similar tactics. Where humanity should have found friends and trading partners, you found only enemies and closed borders. Dr. Martinez looked up from his scanner, his face pale. Captain, if what she's saying is true, then human space is completely surrounded by civilizations that have been artificially turned against us. We're not just outnumbered, we're completely isolated. The Queen nodded grimly. The corrupted learned from their previous failures with other species. Direct conquest creates martyrs and resistance movements. But isolation breeds despair and makes a species easier to control. So what changed? Sarah demanded. Why are you awake now? Why didn't you intervene before humanity became so isolated? The Queen's 6 eyes blazed brighter. Because 3 days ago we detected something that forced our hand. The corrupted have not just been creating hybrid soldiers. They have been conducting experiments on captured humans, trying to reverse engineer the special genetic markers we placed in your species. The holographic display changed again, showing laboratory footage that made Sarah's stomach turn. Human prisoners were being subjected to horrific genetic manipulation procedures, their DNA being systematically analyzed and altered. They have discovered how to remove humanity's cooperative instincts and replace them with absolute obedience to their will. Worse, they have learned how to transfer these modified traits to their hybrid soldiers. Sarah stared at the images in horror. They're trying to steal what makes us human and give it to their own creatures? Precisely. If they succeed, they will have created beings with all of humanity's strengths but none of your moral constraints. They will be able to infiltrate and manipulate other species with the same ease that humans form alliances. But they will use this ability only to serve the corrupted's goals. Lieutenant Park's communications console suddenly burst to life with incoming signals. Captain, I'm receiving emergency transmissions from across the sector. Multiple colonies are reporting massive attacks, but these aren't like the previous raids. Sarah moved to look at the data. What's different about them? The attacking forces are using human tactics and human language. Some colonies are reporting that the attackers claim to be human rescue forces, but when they arrive... Park's voice trailed off as he read the reports. When they arrive... What? Williams demanded. The colonies go silent. Complete communication blackouts. But long-range sensors show no signs of destruction or evacuation. It's like the populations just disappear. The Queen's voice cut through the chamber like ice. It has begun. The corrupted have started deploying their hybrid infiltrators. They are not destroying human colonies, they are converting them. Sarah felt her blood run cold. Converting them how? The hybrids arrive claiming to be reinforcements or evacuation forces. They gain the trust of the colonists, then use genetic modification technology to alter the humans at the cellular level. Within hours, an entire colony population becomes loyal to the corrupted, while retaining their memories and personalities. Dr. Martinez dropped his scanner, his hands shaking. That's not possible. Genetic modification on that scale would require massive infrastructure and weeks of treatment. The Queen gestured to another crystal, and the viewing device displayed technical schematics that made Martinez gasp. The corrupted have developed nanobiological agents that can rewrite human DNA in real time. A simple injection, and within 6 hours, a human being becomes incapable of acting against corrupted interests while believing that their loyalty shift is entirely voluntary. Sarah realized with growing horror what this meant. They're not just trying to defeat humanity. They're trying to recruit us. More than recruit, the Queen corrected. They are transforming your species into willing servants while leaving their personalities intact. The converted humans will genuinely believe that serving the corrupted is humanity's best choice for survival. Williams checked his weapon reflexively. How many colonies have been hit? Park consulted his console. 7 confirmed, with reports coming in from at least 12 more. Captain, at this rate, they could convert every human settlement within weeks. The Queen's massive form straightened, and Sarah could feel dangerous energy building in the chamber. This is why we awakened. The corrupted have finally made their crucial mistake. What mistake? Sarah asked. The Queen's 6 eyes blazed with what Sarah realized was fury. They have forgotten that humanity was designed not just to survive among the stars, but to unite them. The genetic modifications they are using to control humans will interfere with the deeper programming we embedded in your species. They are about to discover what happens when you try to cage a force of nature. Sarah felt a strange sensation building in her chest, like electricity running through her veins. Looking around, she saw that her team members were experiencing something similar, their eyes beginning to glow with the same ethereal light that filled the chamber. What's happening to us? She whispered. The Queen smiled, an expression both terrifying and beautiful on her alien features. You are remembering what you were always meant to be, my daughter. And now it is time to show the galaxy why the corrupted should have left humanity alone. The sensation intensified, and Sarah felt her consciousness expanding in ways she had never experienced before. Information flowed through her mind, star charts she had never seen, languages she had never learned, and most startling of all, an intuitive understanding of alien psychology and behavior patterns that seemed to come from nowhere. The awakening protocols, the Queen explained, her voice now resonating directly in Sarah's thoughts rather than through her ears. Every human carries dormant neural pathways that connect to a vast network of knowledge we embedded in your genetic code. The corrupted's interference has triggered the automatic activation of these pathways. Dr. Martinez staggered as his own awakening intensified. I can see the genetic structure of every species we've encountered. I understand how their biology works, how their societies function. Captain, this knowledge, it's not just information. It's like having the experience of 1,000 alien anthropologists downloaded directly into my brain. Lieutenant Park's eyes widened as streams of data flowed across his vision. Communication protocols for 17 different alien languages, diplomatic customs, trade agreements. I know exactly how to negotiate with species I've never even heard of before. Sergeant Williams examined his hands as they began to glow with the same ethereal energy that filled the chamber. My reaction time has increased by at least 300%. I can see tactical solutions to problems I wouldn't have even recognized 5 minutes ago. Sarah felt the changes taking hold in herself as well. Her awareness expanded beyond the chamber, somehow sensing the positions and emotional states of every living being for miles around. More than that, she could feel the connections between different life forms, the invisible threads that bound all consciousness together. "This is how you designed us," she said, understanding flooding through her, not just as individuals but as a species capable of networking with any form of life we encounter. The Queen nodded approvingly. Humanity was meant to be the galaxy's mediators, the species that could understand and communicate with any other form of consciousness. But the corrupted's genetic modifications are disrupting these neural pathways in the converted humans. They are creating beings with humanity's cooperative abilities but without the empathic connections that make cooperation meaningful. That's what you meant by caging a force of nature, Sarah realized. The converted humans won't just be loyal to the corrupted, they'll be fundamentally incomplete. Worse than incomplete, the Queen corrected. They will be in constant psychological pain. The neural pathways that create empathy and connection cannot be simply removed. They must be suppressed by continuous chemical intervention. The converted humans will require regular treatments to maintain their loyalty, and with each treatment, their mental stability will deteriorate. Dr. Martinez was scanning himself with his equipment, marveling at the readings. The genetic changes aren't just enhancing our existing abilities. They're activating entirely new neural structures. It's like we're evolving in real time. Not evolving, the Queen said, remembering. This is what humanity was always meant to become. We simply built in safety protocols that prevented the awakening until your species was ready to handle the responsibility. Sarah felt a sudden urgency flooding through her enhanced awareness. The converted colonies. If what you're saying is true, then the people there are suffering constant psychological torture. Indeed, and their suffering is being transmitted through quantum entanglement to every other human in the galaxy. Your species' enhanced empathic abilities mean that the pain of the converted is creating a feedback loop that will eventually drive all of humanity toward despair and submission. Lieutenant, Park checked his communications equipment and found that his enhanced understanding now allowed him to interpret signals he had never been able to decode before. Captain, I'm picking up distress signals from across human space. Not just the attacked colonies, everywhere. Suicide rates are spiking, depression levels are through the roof, and military morale is collapsing. Williams clenched his fists, energy crackling around them. How do we stop it? The Queen gestured toward another section of the chamber, where complex machinery began to emerge from hidden compartments in the walls. The conversion process used by the corrupted can be reversed, but only if we can reach the affected colonies before the genetic modifications become permanent. You have approximately 18 hours. Sarah studied the emerging equipment with her enhanced perception and immediately understood its purpose. Quantum transmitters. You're going to send us to the converted colonies directly. Not just you, the Queen corrected. All of you simultaneously to different locations. Your awakened abilities will allow you to function as a coordinated network across vast distances. But more importantly, your presence will disrupt the corrupted's control mechanisms. Dr. Martinez examined the quantum transmitter with fascination. This technology is beyond anything humanity has developed. How are we supposed to operate equipment this advanced? You already understand it, the Queen replied. The awakening process has activated knowledge that was always part of your genetic code. Every human now has the instinctive understanding necessary to operate our technology. Sarah found that this was true. Looking at the complex machinery, she could immediately see how each component functioned and how to modify the systems for optimal efficiency. It was as if she had been working with this technology her entire life. There's something else, she said, her enhanced awareness picking up additional information. The corrupted fleets that are approaching this system. I can sense them now, feel their intentions. They're not just coming to destroy us, they're coming to capture this facility. The Queen's expression darkened. Yes. The awakening of this sanctuary vault has sent energy signatures across the galaxy. The corrupted know that we have activated humanity's true potential, and they are desperate to prevent you from reaching the other sanctuary vaults. Other vaults? Williams asked. 17 more, scattered across the galaxy. Each one contains different aspects of the knowledge and abilities we embedded in humanity's genetic code. If you can reach and activate even half of them, your species will have the tools necessary to not just defend itself, but to restore the civilizations the corrupted have destroyed. Park's enhanced communication abilities were picking up massive amounts of data from across the galaxy. Captain, I'm detecting corrupted fleet movements on a scale I've never seen before. They're mobilizing everything they have. Because they know that if humanity reaches its full potential, their entire campaign becomes impossible, the Queen explained. A fully awakened human population cannot be controlled, corrupted, or defeated by conventional means. Your species would become exactly what we designed you to be, the galaxy's protectors and peacekeepers. Sarah felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. But instead of crushing her, it felt like coming home. What do we need to do? The Queen moved to the quantum transmitters, her forearms working with incredible speed to calibrate the machinery. You will split up and travel to the 4 nearest converted colonies. Your awakened presence will disrupt the corrupted's control mechanisms and begin the reversal process. But more than that, you will serve as relay points for awakening other humans. Relay points? Martinez asked. The awakening is contagious, the Queen explained. Proximity to fully awakened humans will trigger the dormant pathways in others. Each human you awaken will become capable of awakening more, creating an exponential spread of enhanced abilities across your species. Williams grinned, energy still crackling around his hands. So we're not just rescuing the converted colonies. We're turning this into a galaxy-wide awakening of human potential. Precisely, but be warned. The corrupted will do everything in their power to prevent this. They have weapons and technologies that can disrupt the awakening process, and they will not hesitate to destroy entire planets, rather than let humanity reach its full potential. Sarah looked around at her team, seeing them with her enhanced perception. Each of them was blazing with potential, their awakened abilities making them far more than they had ever been before. How long do we have before their main fleet arrives? The Queen's 6 eyes focused on a display showing the approaching corrupted forces. 6 hours. But that is more than enough time for awakened humans to change the course of this war forever. As the quantum transmitters reached full power, Sarah felt reality beginning to shift around them. Are we ready for this? Park, Martinez, and Williams nodded, their enhanced abilities making them confident in ways they had never felt before. But Sarah sensed something else from the Queen, a deep sadness mixed with fierce pride. What aren't you telling us? She asked. The Queen's massive form seemed to diminish slightly. The awakening process that saved your species has cost us everything, my daughter. We cannot survive outside these chambers for more than a few hours. This will be our final gift to you. Sarah felt tears streaming down her face as she realized what the Queen was saying. You're dying to save us. We are returning to the embrace of the stars, knowing that our children will carry on what we began, the Queen replied. Now go and show the galaxy what humanity was always meant to become. Sarah materialized on the surface of New Geneva Colony in a flash of quantum energy, her enhanced senses immediately analyzing the situation around her. The colony appeared normal at first glance. People went about their daily routines, children played in the streets, and the fusion generators hummed with steady power. But her awakened perception revealed the horrible truth beneath the surface. Every single colonist was radiating the same artificial emotional signature. Their thoughts moved in perfect synchronization, like a hive mind that still maintained individual personalities. Most disturbing of all, she could sense the constant pain they were experiencing as their natural empathic connections fought against the corrupted's genetic modifications. A group of colonial security officers approached her, their weapons drawn but their expressions calm and friendly. Welcome to New Geneva, their leader said with a genuine smile that made Sarah's skin crawl. I'm Commander Hayes, we've been expecting you. Sarah's enhanced awareness told her that Hayes truly believed he was welcoming a friend. even as his modified genetics compelled him to capture her for the corrupted. The psychological torture these people were enduring was beyond anything she had imagined. "Commander Hayes," she said carefully, "when was the last time you spoke with Earth Command?" Hayes paused, his brow furrowing as he tried to access memories that his modifications were suppressing. We received new orders from the Colonial Authority 3 days ago. Everything is proceeding according to plan." "What plan?" Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. "The integration protocol," Hayes replied, his smile never wavering even as tears began streaming down his face. "We're helping humanity evolve into something better, something that can survive what's coming." Sarah felt rage building inside her, but her awakened abilities allowed her to channel that emotion into something more productive. Energy began to flow through her body, creating a field effect that extended outward from her position. Wherever the energy touched, she could sense the colonists' natural neural pathways beginning to reassert themselves. Hayes staggered, his artificial smile faltering. "What's happening?" "I feel different." "You're remembering who you really are," Sarah told him, stepping closer and intensifying the awakening field around her. "The real question is whether you're strong enough to handle the truth." The change in Hayes was immediate and dramatic. His eyes widened as suppressed memories came flooding back. The arrival of the supposed rescue ships, the friendly soldiers who had offered genetic treatments to protect against Zephyrian bioweapons, and the gradual realization that something was terribly wrong even as his modified mind insisted everything was perfect. "Dear God," he whispered, dropping his weapon, "what have they done to us?" Around them, other colonists were experiencing similar awakenings as Sarah's energy field expanded. She watched a mother suddenly remember her natural love for her children, which had been replaced by cold efficiency in caring for future assets. A teacher recalled his passion for education, which had been twisted into programming loyalty to the corrupted. A doctor remembered her oath to do no harm, which had been overridden by compulsions to prepare colonists for conversion. The psychological release was overwhelming. Across the colony, people began screaming, crying, and collapsing as their true emotions returned in a devastating flood. But Sarah's awakened abilities allowed her to sense something else: relief. Despite the pain, every colonist felt grateful to be themselves again. "Commander," she said to Hayes, who was struggling to remain standing as his natural empathy reconnected with the pain of everyone around him, "I need you to gather your security team. We have work to do." Hayes nodded, his face set with grim determination. "What kind of work?" "The kind that's going to save humanity," Sarah replied, feeling the quantum communication network activate as her team members began their own awakening missions across the galaxy. Through the network, she could sense Dr. Martinez successfully reversing conversions on Tau Ceti 4, while Lieutenant Park was liberating the mining colonies in the Vega system. Sergeant Williams had encountered fiercer resistance on Proxima Station, but his enhanced combat abilities were proving more than equal to the task. But the network also brought disturbing news. The corrupted had detected the awakening process and were accelerating their timeline. Massive fleets were moving toward Earth itself, carrying conversion weapons capable of altering the entire planet's population in a matter of hours. "Captain Chen," Hayes said urgently, "I'm getting reports from our orbital sensors. There's a massive fleet dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the system." Sarah's enhanced perception reached out across space, sensing the approaching ships. What she found made her blood run cold. These weren't just corrupted vessels. They were hybrid ships crewed by converted humans from other colonies, humans who had been so thoroughly modified that they couldn't be awakened by her presence alone. "How many ships?" she asked, though she already knew the answer would be devastating. "Over 300 vessels, including 5 dreadnoughts," Hayes replied. "Captain, even if we could get word to Earth Command, our entire defense fleet wouldn't stand a chance against that kind of firepower." Sarah felt the quantum network pulsing with activity as her team members shared tactical information. The picture emerging was even worse than she had feared. Similar fleets were approaching every major human world simultaneously. The corrupted weren't just trying to stop the awakening process. They were launching their final assault on humanity. But then she felt something that changed everything. Through the quantum network, she sensed the awakening spreading beyond their initial targets. Every human her team had successfully restored was triggering awakenings in others. creating an exponential cascade of enhanced consciousness across human space. On Earth, military commanders were suddenly understanding alien tactical principles they had never studied. On Mars, scientists were grasping technological concepts that had been beyond human comprehension just hours before. On Europa, diplomats were instinctively knowing how to communicate with alien species they had never encountered. "Commander Hayes," Sarah said with growing excitement, "I need you to open a channel to every ship in your orbital defense grid. Captain, we only have 12 patrol vessels up there. They're no match for what's coming." "They will be," Sarah said confidently. "Trust me." As Hayes established the communication link, Sarah felt her awakened abilities reaching out through the quantum network to touch the minds of every human in the system. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Ship captains who had been preparing for desperate last stands suddenly understood exactly how to coordinate their vessels for maximum effectiveness. Engineers grasped the principles needed to overload their reactors safely, creating weapons far more powerful than anything in their official specifications. Tactical officers saw weaknesses in the approaching corrupted formations that would have been invisible to unawakened humans. "This is Captain Chen to all vessels," Sarah broadcast. "Prepare for fleet engagement, but not the kind you've trained for. You're about to discover what human ingenuity really means when it's unrestrained by self-doubt." The first wave of corrupted ships entered weapons range, their hybrid crews confident that they faced the same limited humans they had been defeating for months. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The human patrol vessels scattered, in patterns that seemed random until the corrupted realized they were being surrounded by ships that shouldn't have been able to coordinate such complex maneuvers. Weapons that should have been limited to standard energy outputs suddenly blazed with power levels that violated every engineering manual. Most disturbing of all, the human crew seemed to anticipate every corrupted tactical decision before it was made. "Impossible," came a transmission from the lead corrupted dreadnought. "How are they doing this?" Sarah smiled as she felt the awakening spreading to every human in the system, then jumping to other colonies through quantum entanglement, then spreading further still as those newly awakened humans triggered the process in others. "Because," she broadcast to the corrupted fleet, "you never understood what you were really fighting." The battle that followed would later be remembered as the moment humanity stopped being victims and started being what they were always meant to be. But as Sarah coordinated the defense of New Geneva, she could sense through the quantum network that this was just the beginning. The real test was still coming. The quantum network pulsed with intensity as Sarah felt the final phase of humanity's awakening beginning. Through the connection, she experienced the liberation of 17 major colonies simultaneously, each success triggering cascading awakenings across entire star systems. But the network also carried darker information. The corrupted were activating their ultimate weapon. Deep in space, hidden facilities that had been secret for decades suddenly came online. These weren't conversion centers or military installations. They were massive quantum transmitters designed to broadcast a genetic virus that would permanently sever humanity's awakened abilities and lock the species into permanent subservience. "Captain," Commander Hayes said urgently, his own awakened perception picking up the same threat, "I'm detecting massive energy buildup from multiple points across the galaxy. Whatever they're planning, it's about to happen." Sarah felt Dr. Martinez's presence through the network as his scientific awakening provided crucial analysis. The quantum virus would propagate at faster than light speeds, reaching every human settlement within minutes. Once activated, it would be irreversible. Humanity would lose not just their enhanced abilities, but their fundamental capacity for growth and adaptation. But Martinez's analysis also revealed something the corrupted hadn't anticipated. The awakening process had created quantum entanglement between all human consciousness, linking the species into a collective intelligence network while preserving individual identity. The virus designed to attack individuals would face the combined willpower of 20 billion awakened human minds. "Williams," Sarah broadcast through the network, "what's your tactical assessment?" Sergeant Williams' response came laden with grim satisfaction. "The corrupted have made a classic military error, Captain. They've committed all their forces to one final gambit. If we can survive their quantum attack and turn it back on them, they'll have nothing left to defend their core worlds with." Lieutenant Park's enhanced communication abilities had been monitoring corrupted transmissions across the galaxy. "Captain, I'm picking up panic in their command structure. The awakening is spreading faster than they calculated. They're detecting human consciousness evolution in sectors they thought were completely secure. Sarah felt the truth of this through the network. The awakening wasn't just spreading through direct contact anymore. The quantum entanglement between human minds was allowing the enhancement to jump across vast distances, activating dormant genetic programming in humans who had never encountered an awakened individual. On Earth, President Morrison suddenly understood galactic politics with a clarity that let her see through decades of corrupted manipulation. On the mining stations around Jupiter, workers instinctively grasped how to modify their equipment into weapons capable of threatening capital ships. On the research stations near Alpha Centauri, scientists achieved breakthrough discoveries that advanced human technology by centuries in a matter of hours. But the corrupted quantum transmitters were reaching full power. Sarah could feel the malevolent energy building across space, preparing to wash over every human settlement like a tide of genetic poison. All awakened humans, she broadcast through the quantum network, prepare for coordinated resistance. Link your consciousness with mine. Show them what 20 billion human minds can accomplish when they work together. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Sarah felt her individual awareness expanding to encompass the collective human experience, while maintaining her personal identity. Through billions of perspectives, she saw the galaxy as humanity was meant to see it, not as a collection of separate worlds and species, but as a living network of consciousness that could be guided toward cooperation and growth. The corrupted virus struck like a psychic thunderbolt, designed to shatter human will and reduce the species to automatons. But instead of encountering isolated individual minds, it crashed into the unified consciousness of an entire awakened species. What happened next defied everything the corrupted understood about genetic manipulation. The human collective didn't just resist the virus. They absorbed it, analyzed it, and turned it into a carrier wave for their own awakening signal. Across the galaxy, corrupted facilities found their quantum transmitters hijacked by human consciousness. The virus meant to destroy humanity instead became the delivery system for awakening every human in existence simultaneously. In research stations on the galactic rim, in colony ships traveling between stars, in hidden outposts that even Earth Command didn't know about, every human being suddenly experienced the full activation of their genetic potential. But the hijacked transmitters carried the signal further than the corrupted had anticipated. The quantum broadcast reached the artificially corrupted species that surrounded human space, and something unexpected happened. The neural parasites that the corrupted had used to control the Rigelian Empire suddenly found themselves facing the same cooperative instincts they had been suppressing. Enhanced by contact with awakened human consciousness, the Rigelians began breaking free from their artificial aggression. Similar liberation occurred among the Altarian Collective, the Vegan Confederacy, and dozens of other species. Sarah felt the moment when the galaxy's political balance shifted permanently. Species that had been isolated and hostile for decades were suddenly rediscovering their natural inclinations toward cooperation. The network of manipulation and control that the corrupted had spent centuries building was collapsing in real time. "Captain," Hayes said with wonder in his voice, "I'm receiving surrender requests from the corrupted fleets. Not just here, everywhere. Their hybrid crews are experiencing spontaneous awakening and refusing to continue the assault." Through the quantum network, Sarah sensed the truth of this. The genetic modifications that had made humans loyal to the corrupted were breaking down under the influence of species-wide awakening. Former enemies were remembering their true natures and turning against their controllers. But the most significant change was happening at the corrupted's core worlds. The beings who had started this campaign of manipulation and control were discovering that their own ancient enemies, the original Zephyrian queens who had been imprisoned for millennia, were awakening in response to humanity's quantum signature. Sarah felt a familiar presence touching her consciousness and realized that the queen from the sanctuary vault had somehow survived the awakening process. Her voice echoed through the quantum network with joy and pride. "My daughters and sons," the queen's mental voice reached every awakened human. "You have done something we never imagined possible. You have not just saved yourselves. You have awakened the galaxy itself." The final chapter of the war was written not in battle, but in revelation. The corrupted's true nature was exposed to every conscious being in the galaxy. They were the remnants of a species that had tried to achieve immortality by feeding on the life force of others. Their campaigns of manipulation had been desperate attempts to gather enough psychic energy to sustain their artificial existence, but awakened humanity offered them something they had never expected: forgiveness coupled with the opportunity for genuine redemption. Rather than destroying their ancient enemies, humans extended the possibility of rehabilitation and integration into the galactic community. Some corrupted accepted this offer, finally finding peace after eons of existence built on exploitation. Others chose to fade into the cosmic background, their artificial immortality finally released. Sarah stood on the surface of New Geneva, looking up at a sky filled with ships from dozens of species that had come to celebrate humanity's awakening. Through the quantum network, she could feel the excitement of billions of humans as they discovered their true potential and began building relationships with alien civilizations that had been waiting centuries for this moment. The war was over, but more than that, a new chapter of galactic history had begun. Humanity had become exactly what the original Zephyrian Queens had designed them to be, the species that could unite consciousness across the stars and guide the galaxy toward its highest potential. As Sarah felt the endless possibilities stretching out before them, she smiled and sent a thought through the quantum network to every human in existence. Welcome to what we were always meant to become.